Terrorism experts are warning ISIS still poses a very dangerous global threat. The attack in New Orleans, a grim reminder of the group's reach years after U.S. and coalition forces dismantled its caliphate in the Middle East. CNN's Nick Robertson has a closer look.
2024 saw ISIS attack Spike. This massive concert hall attack in Moscow, killing more than 100 people in March. Their deadliest, claimed by their most active franchise, ISIS-K or ISKP, in Afghanistan. A month later, this bloody attack inside a Russian jail. 4 guards killed. A stabbing attack followed in Germany. They attacked in Afghanistan and Iran. Another of their estimated 10 franchises or provinces fought Nigerian troops.
We've seen a huge increase in tempo over the last year or two. In 2024, there were like 14 or 15 arrests related to the Islamic State in the U.S.
It's a far cry from 5 years ago when ISIS appeared to be on the back foot. Their short-lived Iraq and Syrian caliphate beaten by US and coalition partners into a seeming surrender. But not anymore, according to MI5's intelligence chief.
After a few years of being pinned well back, they've resumed efforts to export terrorism. We and many European partners are detecting IS-connect activity in our homelands, which we're moving early to disrupt.
Taylor Swift and her Eras tour in Vienna, beneficiary of the heightened safeguarding. An ISIS-inspired plot forcing her to call off her show. What has changed, Zelin says, is that ISIS is centralizing, learning from its mistakes in Syria.
They integrated a lot of their provinces together under this general directorate of provinces. So there's a bit more coordination on the global level within its network.
In the Mideast, the ISIS brand is apparently still attracting supporters, like these 3 Omanis in one of many such ISIS propaganda videos the terror group posts. Their bloody bounce back began several years ago, gaining temporary global attention, killing 13 US troops as coalition forces pulled out of Afghanistan in 2021. But since then, most of ISIS's recovery has not sparked massive global attention. 2025 might be the year that changes.
If they can do something in the US, if they can do something in Europe, if they can do something in Russia, Turkey, Iran, Central Asia, if they can do it, they'll do it. Because for them, it's a global war.
And a success for ISIS in this context could be as simple as an attacker like Shamsuddin Jabbar claiming, as he has done, to have acted in ISIS's name, even when he may not have had any physical support from them, Wolf.
Our thanks to CNN's Nick Robertson for that report. Nick, thank you very, very much. I want to bring in retired U.S. Army General Wesley Clark, the former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. He's a CNN military analyst. General Clark, thanks so much for joining us. Jabbar, as you well know and all of us know by now, was a U.S. citizen, a military veteran. How is ISIS ideology attractive to someone like him?
You know, he's a man who got out of the military. He had a really troubled personal life. He was failing in his marriage. He tried businesses failed. I think he was looking for anything to hold on to. And so unlike a young person who would be looking for some way to latch onto something for his identity, this guy was sliding downhill quickly. He would take anything at this point, I suppose. And somehow he was on the ISIS websites. And Wolf, what it says to me is we've got to do a better job of policing the websites, knowing who's on them, knowing who's back and forth in the correspondence and answering. You know, this is difficult to do. It takes a lot of manpower, and ISIS is learning and has learned how to elude U.S. surveillance and efforts. And so this is part of their resurgence. We're just going to have to do a better job on this.
It's absolutely true. We've seen several instances, General, as you well know, of ISIS-inspired incidents around the world in recent months. How is this terrorist organization still able to inspire these sorts of terror attacks?
I think there are always going to be people in a globalized economy who either don't feel significant and are looking for some way to put meaning in their lives. Uh, that would be a young person who was alienated in school and early job, or someone in midlife, like this terrorist in New Orleans who has failed and is looking for anything and any support. He can be manipulated online by some clever leadership by ISIS. And this is really the danger. Maybe he didn't go online with the intent of killing a bunch of people and committing suicide, but then he's groomed into it. And that's what we really have to be careful of. Really, it's a whole of society approach. It's people who are friends and relatives looking out for each other. That's where it starts. And then it's a effective government surveillance program of these websites. And then it's neighbors and police and state security organizations who are clued in to the people who are at risk in their areas.